Ladies and gentlemen, Hazel Walker.
That actually isn't something I just put on my email. That is a way I live my life. I thoroughly believe that it is our responsibility to use every inch of our life. I am not meant to go to my grave looking beautiful. I am meant to go to my grave used up, tired out, done, and have enjoyed it all. All the sins and all the saints. And they'll all be singing at my funeral. So I like life and I like what I do. So let me talk to you a little bit about, I was listening to all of you ask for referrals today. How do we get something that we really want? We can whine. Whining works. Right? So our children whine about, I want this, I want this. But the other is ask for it, right? We have to ask for what we want. And it's really important, before we ask for what we want, that we know what we want. How many of you really know what you want? Really? You sure? Because I'm not sure. I heard a lot of people ask for exactly what they want. Because if I actually think what you ask for is what you really want, we're going to go broke in this room. Why do you think that is? What did we ask for the most today?
Anyone.
We asked for anyone. Yeah, you heard a lot of anyones. I heard a lot of anyones. So let me tell you a story. There's a real estate agent. Who's a real estate agent here? Real estate agents in my chapter. Now, I was a member of BNI. I've been a member since 1991. And I actually founded my own chapter because the other 4 chapters in town wouldn't let me play, so I just started my own. And at that point, we were called the network, not BNI. So I started my own chapter, and I made myself the president. And there was a real estate agent in the chapter. And time went along, and we got pretty educated about how to help each other. But every single week, this real estate agent would stand up, and she'd say, anyone who wants to buy a home is a great referral for me. And I kept saying, Audrey, are you sure it's anyone? She goes, no, anyone that wants to buy or sell, that's a great referral for me. I said, okay, all right. So I was looking for anyone. Now, the best way for me to find a house that was for sale was the day they put a sign in the front yard. And I'd go and say, do you want to sell this house? Yes. Okay, well, I know someone that can help you. Yeah, we just hired someone that can help us. Oh, wrong anyone. So one day I was driving down the road, and I remembered there's this guy that stands on the corner, because in the United States, panhandling is pretty exciting. People get rich panhandling. Do you guys know what panhandling is? That's where they stand on the corner, usually right close to an interstate, and they hold a sign that says, we'll work for food, but they never want food. If you give it to them, they just frown at you. So you throw money. Now, I really like the guys that say, we'll work for beer, or give me money, I'm going to use it on beer. At least they're being honest. And so you throw money into their little pot, and they get pretty rich. They make a lot of money during the day just standing there collecting money. So there's this one guy, he's always on the corner, and he has a dog. And I walk up to him, and his name is John, and John's always on this particular corner. And I said, John, would you like to have a house? And he said, yeah, I would. I would love to have a house. I said, where do you live? He goes, I live under the bridge. I'm homeless. I go, my dog and I live under the bridge right over here. And I said, okay, but you would like to own a house? He said, oh, yeah, love to buy a house. But I don't have any money. I don't collect enough money to buy a house. And I said, oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't need money. So I went to the next week, and I gave Audrey anyone. And I wrote it up neatly on the slip. John, I-70 and Post Road, black and white dog, wants to buy a house. So I gave that to Audrey, and I said, here you go, Audrey. Here's anyone. And she goes, I-70 and Post Road. I said, yeah, the homeless guy that stands there on the corner. She goes, I can't sell him a house. Why? Well, he doesn't have any money, but you didn't say I needed someone that had money. You just said anyone who wants to buy. And she goes, well, that's not what I meant. I said, how do we know that? Because that's what you keep saying, anyone. And I told John that you would help him. And our policy is that you must follow up on the referrals you receive. And she said,
Right.
oh, well, I do, people do have to have money. They have to qualify for the loan. I'm like, oh, okay, qualify for loan. I said, anywhere in town? She goes, no, I only sell houses in Marion County. Oh, Marion County. Is there a price range that you work as? Yeah, $200,000 and up. Okay, $200,000 and up. I said, Audrey, how come you haven't told us that? How come you haven't described that to us so that we could go find that versus anyone? And she goes, okay, point made. You have to ask for what you want. And the beauty is when you're sitting in a chapter of this size, and you guys are a nice average size chapter at 40, 45 members. Some of my chapters sit around 60, 65, and when they're passing referrals, they're doing $3 to $7 million a year. Because every single person in the room knows a whole lot of people, right? 150 people. Dunbar says, the Dunbar theory is we all have good relationships with about 150 people. We may know 500, but 150 is a good number of people. So if you ask for a referral, the likelihood is I know someone I can probably connect you to. But you know what the other word is I heard you to ask for today? What, beyond anyone? What was the other word I heard asked a lot, over and over? I live the life of a minimalist. I don't believe in collecting stuff. I don't believe in owning things that I don't need. I've given all of it away, including the jewelry and the everything. I don't want anything now. I just rent my houses, sold all the properties. So I have some money. Kind of collects up. If you don't spend it, it collects up. How much money do you think I could spend if I spent all my money right here? I could spend all of it right here, couldn't I? But there would come a point that I wouldn't have any more money to spend in here, right? Because it's a limited number of money. So I could only buy from you 1 or 2 times, maybe. But I'm a minimalist, so there's a lot of stuff you guys sell I don't want. Right? So I heard a whole lot of people ask for you. Well, if you need a video, call me. If you want to sell your house, call me. If you want your carpet cleaned, call me. If you want your pest control done, call me. If you want coaching, call me. If you want SEO, call me. Well, if we're pitching to the room, are we getting into the 150 people that I really know? Are we getting to the 150 people that I really know? And isn't that who you really want? Because my money is limited, but my network is vast. My network is huge. And I could probably connect you to a lot of people in my network. But you didn't tell me who. You didn't ask for who you wanted. So here's 2 little things you can do to get better referrals. And for those of you who are visitors here today, you can do this inside BNI, outside BNI. You can do this all over the place, every place you network. Here's one question you can simply ask. Who do you know who? Just write it down. Who do you know who? ... And then fill in the ... So I owned an insurance agency, and I would say, who do you know who lives in Hamilton County, has a big house, probably 4 to 5 bedrooms, 2 to 3 children. Those 2 to 3 children go to a private school. They likely have a boat, a motorcycle, some RV, big boy toys. They're driving 2 cars, 2 professional incomes. Who do you know who lives their life like that? Those are the people I need to meet. Because they have income that needs to be protected. They have homes that need to be protected. They have boats and cars and motorcycles that need to be protected. Or I would say, who do you know who drives a Corvette? They love Corvettes. They collect Corvettes. They're at the Corvette shows. Who do you know like that? Because Corvette drivers are crazy about Corvettes. And they need lots of insurance because they tend to drive them fast and they tend to be expensive. Those are the people I want to know. Could you introduce me to people with Corvettes? Now, the moment I say, who do you know who, what do you start thinking? Who? What is she going to say next? Who does she want to know? Who do you know who allows me to open doors for you? Because you're painting a picture in my head about who your ideal client is. You're asking me to connect you to the people I know. But if you don't sit down and think about who you want to know and how to describe them to me and your fellow members so that we will go into our 150 people to connect you, you're not likely to get the kind of referrals you're really looking for. You're not likely to get the kind of referrals you really want. Because we have to ask for what we want. Think about your children. How many of you in here have children? How many of you have got, I love the guy who's talked about the children that stay forever. Oh God, I just kept moving houses smaller and smaller. Then I left the country. Right? You got to go now. I'm not there. Right? So how many of you have children? What do they do when they want something? How many times do they ask? Until, right? They don't come to you and ask for something one time. They come to you and ask for the same thing over and over again. They ask until they get what they want. Then they whinge and then they whine and then they do the other stuff. We don't want you whinging and whining. We want you asking for great referrals. Ask for what you want. And if you're a business owner and you're selling to other businesses, not just consumers, but other businesses, know who you want your next customer to be. When I was selling, I do a lot of professional speaking. I also work with a lot of companies on team communication. So I go in and I do team communication. And one of the clients that I really wanted in Indianapolis was the Indiana Heart Hospital, because doctors and nurses do not communicate well. They don't. It's always bad. And so I wanted to get into this particular hospital. So I did all the research on this hospital. Who was the CEO? Who was running this heart center? Who was on the board of directors? Everything I could find out about that hospital, because they were going to be my next customer. I had already decided. And then I began to ask my network, hey, do any of you know David Villette? David Villette is the CEO of the Indiana Heart Hospital. And, by the way, I'm looking for a personal introduction to David Villette. I asked for it. I did. I got a whole bunch of people said, oh, got his phone number. Where'd you get it? Off the internet? Yeah, I got that. Oh, here's his email. I got that. I want a personal introduction. And finally, I kept asking till one person in my network said, David Villette at the CEO hospital. Yeah, that's who I want to meet. She goes, I'm having dinner with him in 2 weeks. Would you like to join us? Yes, I would like to join you. And she says, great. Well, then I'll just make a reservation for you and you can join us for dinner. And so I joined them for dinner and they became an excellent customer. Because she made the introduction, she sat with us, she helped us with the conversation, right? And then I went in and I began to work with their team. And they referred me to the next hospital, which referred me to the next hospital. But I never would have gotten the first hospital if I hadn't known exactly who I wanted. If I hadn't taken the time to go to Google and do the research for my very next customer. And you guys are sitting in a nice-sized chapter with lots of visitors and people who could really connect you to the people you want. But you've got to be willing to ask for them. And if I said to people, I want to meet someone at Indiana Heart Hospital, what do you think I would have gotten? I would have gotten the janitor, the nurses, I would have gotten a lot of different people, the receptionists, but they weren't the decision makers. So anyone at the hospital wasn't going to work for me. I had to ask for the person who was going to make that decision. So know who you want. Know what they look like. Know what's going on in their lives and raise the value of the referrals that you're getting. Truly, we are not each other's sales team. We are each other's referral marketing team. I am the connector to your next customer. Who is it? Allow me to connect you, but ask for what you want. And here's the really hard part about this. It's called network. It's the ugly 4-letter word, work, which means you have to work at coming up with who you want to know. You have to work on what you're going to ask for before you come into the meeting. You have to know that you really want that connection, and you got to let us know who it is. So set some meetings up with the visitors here today if you're a member. And visitors, set some meetings up with the members and have a conversation with them. Who are they looking to connect to, and how can you support one another? Because when you're supporting each other in a B&I chapter, and this is why I love B&I, we keep local business local. We are an international organization that keeps local business local. We make an economic impact on our community, and we create lives and businesses for people that they love. Because we're here to support each other by connecting each other. We're not just here to sell for one another. We're here to support one another. My network was my biggest asset. My network is my biggest asset. You can take all my money today and everything I own, and I know with my network I can recreate my wealth in no time at all. Because I know how to do it. I know how to tap my network. I know my talents and skills. So know your network, know who they know, and ask to be connected. And keep growing the chapter, because the more people in the chapter, the more opportunities for the connection. And when you've got a chapter sitting of 55, 60 members, you will be amazed at the millions of dollars that will go through this chapter. And congratulations on being the size that you are. And visitors, we welcome you to take a look at the opportunity to grow your business by referral. Thank you very much.